Okay, so can you see the stats here?
Glowering, intense mug of A.J. Klein.
Yeah.
Drink it in.
And it's like he put water in his hair too. Look, it's like you can see it on the shoulder pads. He wet his hair. He's got the mean look. And so it's either this look or the what one of you guys commented the Nirvana look or the Seattle Washington look, right?
Oh yeah, he's totally got
in his post game. All right, so like I said, guys, we're gonna take a look at some of the stats real quick, and then we'll jump into the film. But the 3 games I told you I pulled: Seattle, Arizona, and the Chargers game. I mean, if you look, you can tell right off the bat just by looking at the pass rush column right here. All right, so you can see they tweaked the defense a little bit, and you heard Leslie Frazier talk about it and Evan McDermott to a certain extent. And if we look at this pass rush column, as soon as we hit week 9, you saw not only his snaps go up, but those snaps that he was a pass rusher, jump from 8 in week 8 to 16, 11, 13 last week. So he obviously was rushing the passer a little more from his linebacker position, and we're going to show a bunch of that film. And that's when he started to turn his game around. If you look at those last 3 games, total pressures right here, 5, 4, and 4. Obviously, 5 sacks in the last 3 games. And you got to keep in mind, Pro Football Focus, they don't do half sacks. They just credit the whole sack to the player. So, 5 sacks in the last 3 games. I mean, he's been a monster as far as a pass rusher goes, which is something when I think one of the last times we did this live breakdown was an A.J. Klein breakdown with Greg. And, it's not something we really pointed out on his tape, his capacity to rush the quarterback. So that's obviously been really, really good, especially, with the Bills struggling to get pressure on the quarterback. If we look at some of his tackles, solo tackles right here, last 3 games, again, I mean, that's 22 solo tackles. That's ridiculous in 3 games. And, he's got a few more assists here. So he's been putting up a lot of numbers, not just tackling, rushing the passer. In coverage, he's not in coverage all that much. And I thought, honestly, that teams would attack him more, especially the last game, the Chargers. I did a video on Keenan Allen and how they like to attack defenses with that weak side option, get the Bills, A.J. Klein matched up on Keenan Allen in the slot, and they really didn't go to it all that often. They got a couple to the lower side of the field. I think it was closer in the broadcast angle. It was closer to us, the viewer. And, he just made the tackle. I mean, he didn't get burned. He minimized the gain and forced the next down. But this year he's been pretty well. And if we look at, because, a lot of people talk about, how has the defense changed for him? As I said, it's that initially that pass rusher role that we didn't really expect from him. If we look at some of the linebacker productivity, pass rush productivity stats from Pro Football Focus, look at the top. A.J. Klein's at the top for pass rush productivity from all positions, 16.9. That's just really good, obviously. But look at the rush percentage. He's rushing 24.5% of the time. Now, if we go back and say, okay, what was Milano doing? Because Milano's a good rusher. And I think people kind of forget that about him. He's a pretty good pass rusher. He does a lot of the things that, we're seeing from A.J. Klein, but he's doing it more, obviously, A.J. Klein is, because they don't want him in coverage as much as they want Milano matching up in coverage. But if we go back to 2019, just to get an idea of what Matt Milano was doing as a pass rusher, he was only rushing 14.8% of the time and a productivity rate of 10. And that's, I think right near the top 10 there. Yeah, right here, 13th, tied with Schobert and Reggie Ragland, which is kind of bad actually. But either way, you see he's getting pressure. He was getting pressures last year, 14 pressures. So slightly different roles again, but that's just, it tells you how the coaches have tweaked it just a little bit to not get AJ in coverage as much as we see Milano in coverage, because, of course, Milano is one of those matchup linebackers that we want on tight ends, running backs on the weak side of those formations, and matching up with those guys. So you can see that's the biggest thing as a pass rusher, and obviously not putting him in coverage all that often. But either way, they found his niche. And when Milano does eventually get back full time, how that changes will be interesting. But of course, when you have a guy coming from linebacker and blitzing it that often, you know, it's not always blitzing. It's, the difference between a blitz and a pressure. Obviously, a pressure is still a 4-man rush. You'll hear me talk about creeper pressures, simulated pressures. We're going to go over a few of them. It's a big difference. Obviously, blitzing is sending more than 4. So sometimes the Bills do that. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll drop a defensive end, Jerry Hughes in the coverage, Mario Addison in the coverage, Trent Murphy when he was activated. All the defensive ends have dropped in the coverage. Jerry Hughes, let me see, by player. Jerry Hughes dropped in the coverage, I think it was 18 times this year. Let's bring him up real quick, just to give you an idea, because on these creeper pressures, you are obviously sending 4, you're sending a linebacker from depth usually, and you're dropping out a defensive end. You see he dropped into coverage 18 times. And if you look at that game against Seattle, he was the guy primarily dropping in the coverage when they did send A.J. Klein a bunch of times. So that's the trade-off. It's maybe they don't want Klein in coverage. They want him rushing the passer. And the Bills are lucky enough to have a guy like Jerry Hughes, guys like Mario Addison, Trent Murphy, who have done that. They have dropped into coverage, and nothing crazy. Hook the curl area. Sometimes you'll see them peel with a running back into the boundary, but it just switches up, where that 4th guy is coming from. It's their quasi way of covering for not having a Lorenzo Alexander, that Swiss Army knife, to keep that offensive line guessing on who that 4th rusher or that 5th rusher is coming. And obviously Jerry Hughes, he's been in several different defenses. And of course, Rex Ryan used to love dropping our defensive ends into coverage. So it's something that he's done before. And again, it's mostly in that hook the curl area. Usually when they do run those creeper pressures where a linebacker will come, defensive end will drop out, usually from the boundary. You always hear me talk about that because they don't want them, in a lot of space. They want them in that short area from the numbers to the hash, and he's got help outside in the flats or over the top. So that's kind of the trade-off when you blitz a linebacker, or you rush a linebacker, I should say. Of course, when you blitz a linebacker, a lot of times the Bills are just manning up. And again, that's stuff we're going to jump into here. So I'm going to bring up the film now. Do you guys have any other questions in regards to some of the stats? I can bring up some stats if you have any questions. All right. So right away, we're thrown into the red zone, 3rd and 1 situation. Bills are up 14-0 here. And this is that big stop here on 3rd and 1 that obviously led to the interception in the end zone by Poyer here. This is a big stop for A.J. Klein. We'll see it from the end zone angle. And what's going to happen here is they're going to bring a little split flow jet action first right here. Here comes a jet across the formation. Then you got the split flow by the tight end right here coming across the formation here. And this is very tough to diagnose. Obviously, you guys know Brian Dable, he does this type of stuff, pre-snap motion, eye candy, window dressing. You're going to see just Russell Wilson hand it off. And A.J. Klein is helped by Jerry Hughes right here. You see Jerry Hughes because they have an edge defender right here, and Tremaine Edmonds. Jerry Hughes is going to chase the hip of this left guard and blow this play up. You see him hook with that right arm right there. He reaches for the sky, rips through that block, and that allows Klein to just work through the traffic. He's clean, and he can fill really easily right here. Real tight to that down block by the left tackle here. Comes right downhill, squeezes it, and of course stops the running back in his tracks, the forced 4th down. 3-by-1 set for Seattle. And this is where, Keith, I know this is a play. I think you brought it up. How the hell does Tyler Lockett get matched up with A.J. Klein up the sideline on this wheel route? Well, it's because the Bills send that creeper pressure. So what they're going to do is Jerry Hughes is dropping out. You're going to have Taron Johnson rush right here. Jerry Hughes is going to drop into that hook the curl area. So this is that creeper pressure I was telling you about. So now the flats player is A.J. Klein. And in the Bills defense, when they rotate to that cover 3 look, and this safety is deep over here, deep center. When they rotate to that cover 3 look, the flats defender has to carry number 2 to the flats or up the sideline. So this is just great processing by A.J. Klein. So they're sending Lockett into the boundary. They got 2 really dangerous weapons. Their most dangerous weapons, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, into the boundary. He's flying to the flats. He avoids Metcalf right there and he's in the back pocket of Tyler Lockett here. And just a great job by him. And, you know, he doesn't look back for the ball. It hits him in the back or in the shoulder or the helmet, something like that. But you got to love the coverage. He gets into that trail technique and he forces Russell Wilson, who he can do it. He can drop it in. You know, he does it all the time. But on this play, he's not able to. And that's just a great job by A.J. Klein when he is at a disadvantage. There's a better player, you know, working down the sideline with him. And it was a game that the Bills did a really good job on Lockett, I thought. Obviously, Metcalf went off a little bit, but good coverage and processing by A.J. Klein on this play. And here it comes from the end zone angle. Again, the processing for a guy who, you know, started only a few games for the Bills. Of course, he knows this defense, but this is great pre to post snap processing and knowing how the Seahawks are going to attack him with that matchup down the sideline. I believe this was coming right out of the half too. So great job of, you know, getting that trail technique and making a play down the field. So Bills are now up 24-10, 2nd and 10 situation here. And this is him up the middle, creating a pressure as DK Metcalf comes across the middle. And I want to talk about this from the all-22 angle because, as you guys can see, there's 3 wide receivers here, 1 wide receiver at the top, 3-by-1 formation, running back offset into the boundary. So the passing strength is to the field, right? That's most of the time, that's how offenses are set up. They want to get the passing strength. They want to get their weapons to the open field, right? So a lot of times the protection is set differently. And we're going to take a look at it from the end zone angle so I can break down why this protection didn't work. So again, the field is this way. All of the weapons are that way. Obviously, DK is soloed up to the right side of the screen here. So the Bills they're in that overload formation. So you got a shade technique here. Obviously, a couple edge rushers here. Jerry Hughes is reduced right here, and then Tremaine Edmonds is on the edge. This is something they also did to help defend the run game, especially in these second down situations where if there's a zone read, you're going to have the, Tremaine Edmonds is going to be he's going to have the quarterback right here. So they also did this alignment, this formation, this front to help defend that. But on this play, so the Seahawks are running a common protection in the West Coast scheme. It's called 2-jet, 3-jet. It's basically a 3-on-2. So you have 3 offensive linemen right here. They are responsible for these 3 defenders, right? So they're all kicking and kick sliding this way, defending their gap to their left. So this is how it breaks down. And to the right side, it's usually a man-on-man. This is the man side of protection right here. Pretty easy stuff. 2-3-jet. It's something that Eric Wood and I broke down years ago when Tyrod Taylor and I think it might have been Dennison was the offense coordinator. So with that said, who's got this A-gap right here? That would be the running back. So the running back has a tough job. He's got to come across the formation and stick right here in this A-gap and take anyone that comes. And obviously A.J. Klein's coming. So on the snap, with the shade right here, Ed Oliver's a shade right here. He's going to drive hard into this A-gap and occupy that center so that obviously A.J. Klein can get a nice tight line right to the quarterback. And that's what happens here. And Collins does a decent job, but you see he's kind of he's wishy-washy. He's looking into the A-gap, but I think he's more looking like this is going to be some kind of stunt into the A-gap. He's not even really paying attention that A.J. Klein is going to come from depth here. And A.J. Klein is shaded just inside the center in this A-gap. So the running back here is kind of late, looks to Hughes, and then he realizes, oh no, Klein is coming and tries to pick him up. And look at the pad level by Klein here. Just lowers his shoulder, initiates contact, rips through it, and creates the pressure on Russell Wilson. And that's huge because the Seahawks are running a mesh concept right here. And DK has, a step or two on Trey White, but that pressure from Klein forces Russell to get rid of it quicker, and the ball goes incomplete. So right now it's second and long. Here's the stick right here, and second and long situation. 2-by-2 set, again, running back into the boundary, right? So it looks like man coverage across the board. Bills have several guys up at the line of scrimmage, similar formation. Here's Tremaine Edmonds on the line of scrimmage. And here comes Klein again, but they don't hide it this time. Second and long, He shows right in that A gap, and he shows it to Collins, the running back there. And I think they do that for a reason. It's 2nd and long. They want Russell to feel that pressure. They want him to have to get rid of it quickly. So, and then rally and tackle. And, this is what's great about having safeties that are former corners. I think this is Poyer right here, man on man. And of course, Trey White on, I believe that's Lockett, Taron Johnson, and then Levi Wallace on Metcalf. So 1-on-1, and they're pretty much bringing, 6 guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're bringing 6 guys. They want Russell to feel that pressure. Russell wants to hit DK at the bottom of his screen, decides to pull it back, and he's tripped up by Klein. But again, this is that similar protection. This is that 2 or 3 jet. You got the primary receiver in this case out to the left side of the screen, DK Metcalf, and watch the center. This is a different formation. So this time the defensive tackle is not shaded, right? He's head up. So usually when you have 5 guys on the line of scrimmage and obviously 5 offensive linemen, they're going to do what they call a 5-0 protection. Bills used to call it Hawaii. Last year it was called Hawaii 5-0, right? So now all these guys are just going to have man-on-man. It's basically 1-on-1. And then the running back has usually the Will or Mike. So he would have sometimes a dual read. So if this guy, Poyer, were to come off the edge, the running back would check to him, or he check inside out to Poyer. So the running back's jobs are not easy in pass protection. That's why those young backs do struggle at times with this type of stuff. So again, they're not hiding it here. So here comes A.J. Klein. He's sitting right in that A gap. That running back knows that that's his man. So he steps up, but watch the line that A.J. takes. Instead of taking the free lane right here, he knows that this running back is going to be on a horse right here, trying to get to a point to block him. So he doesn't attack that free lane. He attacks back inside here. And he is very disruptive on this play. Causes Wilson to kind of get off his spot and roll to his right. But obviously, with Klein going that way, he's able to trip him up. And this isn't called. He barely gets a piece of him. It looks like, watch his left foot. It kind of looks like he trips him up here. Right there. It's not called. And Klein is credited with the sack on this play. So again, 5-0 protection. Running back has that A gap. He has that linebacker from depth. He's not able to pick him up cleanly. Kind of holds him a little bit, but Klein is able to stick his foot out and again get the sack there. So one of his few sacks on the season. So Bills are up 41-27, 3rd and 3 situation, 6:56 on the clock. Now we talked about creeper pressures. Now this is a simulated pressure. So again, creeper simulated pressures are still 4-man rushes, but what 4 guys are coming is the question here. And creeper pressures, generally, you're going to have 4 guys on the line of scrimmage, and that linebacker is going to come from depth. Simulated pressures are the same thing. It's only a 4-man rush, but you're showing pressure. And this is what the Bills love to do on 3rd and short. Here's a simulated pressure. They're showing pretty much, 8 guys up near the line of scrimmage, and they all drop out. Only 4 guys rush. So they're showing all of these guys up at the line of scrimmage, but on the snap, they drop out into cover 3. So you have your thirds defenders here, and then you got your 4 underneath defenders. Now, the personnel grouping on this play is what really makes this. You're going to see to the bottom of the screen, the Seahawks are running a spacing concept. So you're going to have this tight end curling up. You're going to have this guy curling up and this guy running a flat. It is meant to stretch the defense horizontally here. So this is Russell Wilson's read. It's Saran Neal. And as Russell is hitting the top of his drop, he's indecisive because the spacing of these 2 receivers is so close. Neal is pretty much guarding both of these guys. And so Russell Wilson doesn't get rid of it. And you see Neal right here. He squeezes at the last second, squeezes the curl, defends Lockett in the middle of the field, and then it's too late because A.J. Klein hits him. And I don't know if it was you, Keith, but someone in the Slack channel again said this might have been one of the biggest hits we've seen Russell Wilson take in his career. Free shot right there, strip sack by A.J. Klein. So let's get back to the beginning. Again, simulated pressure, several guys up at the line of scrimmage, but defensive ends are sitting in the A-gaps, and Jerry Hughes does a good job of selling this. If you watch his leg, you see him twitching like he is going to blitz. But of course, those defensive ends, Addison and Hughes, drop out, and it's a tough play on the right side here because it's a similar protection. It's a 5-man protection, and they're sending the running back out into a route. So it's a 5-man protection, and the Bills are showing like they're bringing several guys. So this guard right here, Damien Lewis, who I loved last year at LSU and at the Senior Bowl, he's got a dual read. If Hughes were to rush here, he would have to pick him up. So on the snap, he's looking inside. You can't really see it, but he's looking inside right here, and he kick slides inside to protect that A gap as that center slides to his left. So he's protecting that A gap versus Hughes, and what ends up happening is Hughes drops out. So now the Bills have 2 rushers off the right side of the screen here, obviously. And the Seahawks 2 offensive linemen are right here. So now with Hughes dropping, Lewis has to take this guy. The right tackle should be taking this guy. But because of the way Quentin Jefferson jams that right tackle, he gets right into his face, jams him. There's no way for him to slide out, and it's way too late for Damien Lewis to slide out to Jefferson, and there's definitely no way he's going to kick out wide here to stop Klein en route to Wilson here. That's what happens. Klein is free. It's a simulated pressure. They showed several rushers, but Klein is the one that gets a sack, strip sack here on this play. So just different ways to bring 4 pass rushers. You don't know which 4 are coming. And this one, it really attacked the right guard here and the right tackle on that, dual type read of a block here. And just a good salesmanship by these defensive ends, because you assume those guys are going to be the ones that rush, and the linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds and A.J. Klein, are probably the ones that are going to drop in the coverage on this type of play. But just a simple cover 3 simulated pressure that is able to create obviously a strip sack for A.J. Klein. All right, so now we're towards the end of the game. It's 44-27, just under 4 minutes, fourth quarter, 1st and 10. Bills are just playing their soft zone coverage here. 3-by-1 set. The receivers are to the field, top of the screen here, and they're just dropping out into their zones. And the reason I, kind of brought this play out is because they're leaking the running back out into a route here underneath. And generally, with the trips to the top of the screen, the three receivers up here, these guys are out. They're dropping to their areas, playing coverage. It looks like maybe a Tampa 2 or a cover 2 look. So you're going to see Taron Johnson and Tremaine Edmonds eliminate the passing strength, the three receivers to the top. So with only 1 receiver to the bottom, and I think that's Trey White on DK there, the low player to the boundary, because the ball was spotted on the left hash here, the low player to the boundary has to keep an eye out for the running back leaking out. And A.J. Klein has done a really good job of this. He sees him leaking out, clicks and closes on the running back, and they just minimize that. So good click and close by Klein here as the Bills drop out in the zone and just minimizing, that little underneath route, that check down by Russell Wilson. And, obviously, really good pursuit from him, too. Look at Klein drop, read his keys, and then drop his pad level, and then go and get the ball. All right, I think we're at the 2-minute warning here. So 2-minute warning, 3rd and 5 situation here. Now here comes another pressure from the Bills. So you see these 3 defenders right here start to show their blitz stem here. Get up near the line of scrimmage. Klein's on the line of scrimmage here. And what the Seahawks do, they're expecting pressure. So they try to get almost like a rollout protection for Russell Wilson. It's a slide protection. All these guys, including the tight end right here, are sliding to their right. And I don't know what happens in this protection, but the running back, in my opinion, slides to the right as well with the 6 players on the offensive line. Again, the tight end is also sliding. So you have several guys in protection, and those guys all slide to their right, as does the running back. And you can see Klein is just free here. He has a free shot on Russell Wilson, and he, again, just lays into him right here. So I don't know how this protection was blown. You can see at the beginning of the play, the center appears to be pointing out Klein and Edmonds right there. So Mike DeWill, and honestly, I don't know why the will wasn't picked up. I don't know why this running back goes across the formation when the right tackle kicks out, the right guard kicks out. Everyone's kicking to their right. No one kicks here into this A gap. So you see a heavy left hand, inside hand there. These guys are blocked up. And here comes Klein. And there goes the running back. It just doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. So it seems like a blown protection. And as we all know, Seattle's offensive line isn't really all that good. It hasn't been in the longest I can remember. And so that big hit, that pressure from Klein affects that pass and goes incomplete. All right, so now to the Arizona game. Another game that A.J. Klein did a great job. Obviously, stacked the box. He's right here. And the Bills have struggled with these crack tosses. And we'll look at it from the end zone angle. Just get a better look. So trip set like this tight trip set, this is just an alert. I mean, you should know, especially into the boundary, aware of this crackback block here by the Cardinals. Klein does a great job of, he's in the middle of the field and just tracks the running back down for a 2 or 3 yard gain. So here it is from the end zone angle. You see the pursuit from him. Again, he's coming out of college. Klein was a super athletic dude. Now, obviously, he's lost some of that speed over the years, but just watch his helmet, where he's looking. I mean, he senses it pretty well. Get the down block right here at the point of attack. That allows these guys to get out into space, obviously. But Klein takes a really good angle here to the running back. He avoids all that trash, gets down the line of scrimmage, squeezes the line of scrimmage there, and makes the tackle on the running back. So good angle, good pursuit. Again, not the fastest guy anymore, but that's just a good play by him.
Would you want Murphy to do a better job of understanding that's coming?
I'm glad you asked that. Okay, so generally, and maybe this goes into why he was, kind of benched there and not activated. So generally when teams show these type of crack toss looks with these bunch sets, especially because this is a tight end, it's like, hello. Usually what the Bills do with their defensive ends is put this guy in a 2-point stance. He usually stands up so he can keep his head on a swivel. I mean, what is he doing right now? Like, what is he doing? He's looking in the dirt, and he's oblivious. That tight end gets his hands on him and just easily walls him off, right? It walls him off right into the jump reach right here by Sweezy on the defensive tackle. So they seal off that perimeter quite easily. Now, Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison they've done a better job as the season's gone on. When this block happens, they've recognized it quicker, and they've shown more tenacity than Trent Murphy does on this play. What you want your defensive end to do is not try to work through the line of scrimmage. What you want them to do, and maybe you hear me talk about it, is retrace over the top and just get over the top and string that play out. Force that running back into the boundary and keep, stringing him out as much as you can. Because even if you don't have the angle, if this running back has a leverage on you right here, which he's more times than not, he's going to, you're still squeezing him just a little bit wider, forcing him to run into the boundary just a little bit more so that, the boundary is a defender. And then, of course, pursuit like A.J. Klein can come and close it down and end the play. So great question. But was that you, Keith?
Yeah.
All right. Great question there, man. Again, maybe that's one of those things that that really got Trent Murphy in the doghouse from all accounts. So first quarter, 3rd and 13 situation here. Let's take a look at the play. So Klein is just in space right here. And the recognition of this play. So the Bills run this play. A lot of teams run this play. It's essentially like a screen. So what they're doing with the 3 and 4 eligibles to the bottom of the screen is they're releasing them, but they're releasing them to block. So watch these guys on the snap. Here's a tight end, I believe, right here on Edmonds. I think this is Larry Fitzgerald going to Taron Johnson. Actually, no. Larry is going to the safety. The running back out of the backfield has Taron Johnson. And the wide receiver in the bottom of the screen just blew his assignment there as the play develops. Hold on one second. Someone's trying to jump in right now. This is pretty much a screen. So Hopkins is coming from the top of the screen right here. And all of these guys are just blocking down the field here. And watch the recognition and how quickly A.J. Klein recognized this. You see him point right there, letting Edmonds know that a crosser is coming. But then he realizes it's setting up. And I think he does that because he can see this guy kind of slow playing this block right here with his eyes. And he just clicks and closes on Hopkins there. Just a great read by him. And Taron Johnson, give him credit too, because he is the leverage guy. So he's got to get downhill and contain this little screen that's setting up. He does. Gets right downhill, takes a great angle, and forces Hopkins to slow up, and then Klein is able to close on that play. Just watch it from the end zone angle. It's a really nice play by him, and these are the type of plays that are pretty, they convert more times than not. Just great recognition by him, and then again the angle. His angles have been really good the last few games from that second level. I mean, just wow, just good angle here. Click and close, end the play, force them to punt the ball. 1st and 10 situation, still in the Arizona game. We're in the 3rd quarter now. Here's a run to the field, and just a great play by Klein here, recognizing the double team, the combo at the point of attack, and hugging it. So the Cardinals are running Drake on a power run. So you're going to get combo block, double team right here. And you see this is supposed to be another double team on the defensive end. And he reads it. Look at his eyes. Look at his helmet. He sees that double team on Jerry Hughes, and he gets right over the top of it, stays tight to that double team on Hughes, and is right there to force the running back inside. It's a great job of what we call boxing that play in. This is wrong arming it. Instead of him coming downhill, hugging that double team and jumping inside to force this running back to bounce it, he wrong arms it, boxes that play in, and obviously blows that play up. So good recognition of the double team, gets downhill, doesn't let Sweezy, that pulling guard, get up on him, meets him right at the line of scrimmage, rips through it, and brings down Drake. So great recognition on that run play. 2nd and 11 situation here. All right, so he's in coverage to the bottom of the screen against the tight end. They go into scramble mode, and he plasters down really well. We'll look at it from the end zone angle. So Poyer's dropping into the box here, and you see Klein space these 2 routes really well right here, right? So he spaces that, stays in his area, and he's letting Murray work through his progressions, but then he jumps that route that enters his area. And that's where he's looking to that side right there, covers down, plasters him, and then he just strings the play wide. And this kind of goes unnoticed a lot of times. You see him, he doesn't stay blocked. He rips through right there, drops that near shoulder so that tight end can't get a piece of him. Drops that near shoulder, rips through, and then gets him out of bounds. Doesn't let him get the corner on the defense. 2nd and 2 situation. This one's straight from the end zone angle. Just great job of stringing this play wide. So it is a tackle that happens downfield, but you see him deter the running back, right? He's sitting right in this gap. You know, what this running back is trying to do is draw him in so then that guy can peel off and he can cut it up inside right here. Well, he does such a good job of squeezing the line of scrimmage that running back is forced to bounce it outside. So his eyes and his helmet are in the hole, and that forces the running back to kick it out wide. Now you see Jerry Hughes gives up a soft edge right here by peeking inside, but Klein doesn't give up on the play, stays clean, and then makes the tackle outside the numbers there. So good job of, you know, doing his 111th, but also playing above the scheme here and making the tackle. All right, on to the Chargers game. Chargers motion to a 3-by-1 set to the top, and you know, it's not something we see a lot of, him in coverage, but he's a man coverage here. Taron Johnson's coming across with Keenan Allen on third down here, and here's A.J. Klein on Hunter Henry, and he does a really good job here. Squeezes that guy, Hunter Henry, to the middle. He plays with outside leverage, gets his hand on him. Why does he do that? Why does he funnel him to the middle of the field? Because he has a little help right here in Micah Hyde. So he understands where his leverage help is. So he can get on that outside shoulder and play him tight. And as Hyde slides just a little too far, you'll see Herbert try to hit Hunter Henry over the middle, and Klein's right there at the catch point. So great job of understanding where his help is and just doing his job here. I mean, he gets right in that guy's hip pocket right here off the right side of the screen. Waits for the break, and then he's right there at the catch point. I mean, it's not a bad throw by Justin Herbert there. Not a bad matchup for the Chargers. Well, you see A.J. Klein punch out right at the catch point, right at that moment of truth, and he's able to help break up that pass. So good job in man coverage there against a very good tight end there. First quarter, 7-0. Bills are up. Justin Herbert is obviously making some line changes, line calls there with the 3-by-1 bunch set to the top of the screen. And what do you think's coming, guys? That crack toss. Now, Jerry Hughes stays in the 2-point because of the coverage that the Bills have right here. You have Taron Johnson pretty much right up on the point man, who's a wide receiver. And we'll see it from the end zone angle to see the pursuit by the Bills on this play. But watch Jerry Hughes on this play. He's working. You see him stringing it wide. Now, does he get out leverage? Absolutely. But he's not just trying to work through the line of scrimmage, right? He's trying to work down the line of scrimmage at the very least and try to retrace and string this play wide. Now, A.J. Klein, look where he is. He's leveraging the ball. Look where his eyes are. You don't think he knows what's coming? Why is he looking off to the right side of the screen here? He's looking at these guys right here, right? Is he going to get a down block from Keenan Allen here? As soon as the ball snaps, watch where his eyes go. He feels that. He sees it. And now he's just leveraging the ball. Look where he is. Look where the ball is. Perfect. Look at the leverage. Now he's getting a little out leverage here, right? Well, that's why you have these guys out here as contained players. Look at them playing outside. You want him right here. And who's cleaning up, right? This is how good defense is played. Now you see him leverage the ball, avoid the traffic. Now he's in the alley, and he's right at the tackle with Austin Eckler. And who else is on the backside there with Eckler? You have the defensive tackle who worked down the line of scrimmage and pursued down the line of scrimmage. And then this is Jerry Hughes. So that's good run defense. That's learning from the issues that they've had earlier in the season, and great pursuit by A.J. Klein. Now, again, you know, we've talked about how the defense has changed with, you know, Klein in the lineup versus Milano, but this is the same exact alignment the Bills would use if Milano was in the lineup. He's stacking right here. He's stacked the A gap, and then he's pursuing and finishing the play. So good job by the Bills defense. Everyone doing their 111th, containing the play, and letting the guy who's supposed to make the tackle in the alley make the tackle.
Hey, Eric, do you think that right guard super wide split is to try and sucker and rope dope him up in the hole?
Yeah, for sure. But it also has they're expecting this alignment too. So they want to widen him out. And if those guys do over pursue and fast flow out wide, then you're going to have a nice cutback lane as well. So that's good awareness right there. You see these splits are a little wider, especially if you look from the backside. But I think it's more to kind of outflank these guys because you see they're heavy. The Bills are heavy into the field here. They have several guys out there, and even the technique by Jefferson here, 4-eye with basically a 6-eye here inside the tight end. Those are wide splits. And I don't know if Herbert checked to the crack toss because, as I said, from the all-22 angle, you see him check to this. They could have easily, Keith, had a different run right up the middle. They could have easily just ran it up the middle, and that's why those wide splits were there, to get them wider and then run, into the A gap, into the B gap. But for some reason, Herbert checks to this play, it appears that way. So it's hard to tell, obviously. But again, the Bills defended it really well along the perimeter. That's been one of their worst plays to defend this year. Those crack tosses have killed them. The Bills have gotten crushed on the perimeter on those type of runs. All right, so 3rd down and long, 3rd in the chains, basically. And this is a play where Klein gets beat here, but it's not a bad play by him. You see him peel off with the running back, and it's a good design by the Bills altogether, and in the Charger for that matter, because they have Eckler out wide, and of course, Edmonds motions in with him. So, they're trying to identify the coverage. So now as the Chargers settle into that 3-by-1 set, you're going to see Klein get up on the line of scrimmage and blitz. And I think he's green dogging here, which means if this guy Eckler, which you see his arm right here, if he blocks right here, that'll give A.J. Klein the free reign to go ahead and rush the passer. And so he sells it, but then releases, and it's a good job by Eckler of getting out on the perimeter. So I actually I don't mind the job that Klein does here, because everything, according to his keys, if he's green dogging here, it screams like that running back is blocking. And so as soon as he steps forward to go get Herbert, that's when Eckler gets outside. But he stays in the play and obviously gets in on the tackle. It is a 1st down, but not a bad job by him. And the pressure up the middle was just great. You see a nice little twist up the middle, which includes Tremaine Edmonds. And really that was where I think Herbert wanted to go from the get-go. Even if it was Edmonds in coverage like they had shown in that motion prior to the snap. But good job of tracking him down, Eckler down, because obviously he's a slippery guy. So this one is just him to the bottom of the screen. The Chargers motion to this 2-by-2 set, and the Bills look like they're just playing probably their cover 2 look. And the Bills have gotten crushed. I don't want to say crushed, but in the red zone, we saw a few weeks ago, the Chiefs sneak this guy to the back of the end zone. That's Keenan Allen. See his eyes right on Poyer. And so they want these 3 guys to worry about Keenan Allen in that slot roll as the ball snap right there. They want these guys to squeeze on Allen, and they want to get Hunter Henry in the flats and up the sideline here. But it's a good job by Trey White for not falling for it. His eyes are on the quarterback. And, of course, A.J. Klein's eyes are on the quarterback as well. He gets out there, squeezes the play, and just minimizes it. So good job by those guys into the bottom of the screen right there. And, again, just limiting those weapons that the Chargers have. Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, they just did a really good job against those guys last weekend. And see, this is one of those plays with that play action. They wanted A.J. Klein. They're trying to bait A.J. Klein. You see him show the ball right there. They want A.J. Klein coming downhill into his run fit. You see Johnson's right here. They want him to come down into his run fit so they could sneak Hunter Henry out. But Klein reads it. He reads pass all the way. You don't see him take any type of read steps downhill at all. He gets out wide, works underneath Keenan Allen, and then goes and makes a tackle on the tight end. So good job by him and his discipline. I mean, he's locked in right now. His focus is really well. He's sticking to his keys, and again, his angles are really good. So Bills are up 7-6, 1st and 10 situation. More movement by the tight end here. And again, you have A.J. Klein to the bottom of the screen right here. And this play is a throwback to this running back Pope here, but it's not supposed to be like that. This is that sprint protection. It's first down, and they want to get him on the perimeter and throw it right here. Let's see. It's just a high-low. So it's right here is Allen. He's running a stop. It's a smash concept, and then he's just running over the top. Obviously, a too-high safety set. So these type of plays are money versus that type of single high or too-high safety set. But Herbert doesn't like it. Obviously, there's several defenders right here taking that away. Poyer can drive on this. And so what he does, and this is, pretty heady by him, honestly, because this running back's not really an option in this type of play when you have that sprint protection. But he gets up and throws it and catches that ball from Herbert. But watch Klein. So he comes downhill, reads run. Then he just drops the help underneath right here on Mike Williams. And then as soon as Herbert looks back, watch the angle he takes on this running back. Totally takes away any type of option to this running back. Look him get downhill and just smother that. Basically meets that running back right near the line of scrimmage. It takes away, a ton of his options. That's a pretty good matchup, a running back on A.J. Klein. But Klein does a great job of staying home and playing the ball here. Just good work by him on this play. And again, that running back is not really an option on this play. He's generally just blocking, cutting that end man on the line of scrimmage, kind of like what we expected from the running back on that Seattle play in the red zone. Everyone's going this way, and the running back stays on the backside. Similar protection. Don't know why he didn't do that, but either way, good awareness by A.J. Klein. Stays home and brings down Pope. So first down, first in the chains here. I love this play. So Micah Hyde, you see him communicating to A.J. Klein because Hyde is blitzing here. So what he's telling A.J. Klein is, I have the running back that is the dive. So it's almost like a triple option here. He's got the dive man, and Herbert doesn't really ride that mesh because he sees that Hyde is unblocked here. So he keeps it and pitches it out to the running back here, Eckler. And that's A.J. Klein's guy. So good communication by Hyde, letting Klein know, hey, I got this guy, you got that guy. And you'll see it from the end zone angle. Look at that communication. That's why it's funny. If you guys watch the broadcast angles and even some of the replays of Sean McDermott when they're in a timeout, who's he talking to? He's always talking to Micah Hyde. He's really his coach on the field. And this is why he's so in tune to this defense. They're sending him on a blitz, and you can tell that because of obviously him getting up on the line of scrimmage, but the slant inside by Jerry Hughes. So they're sending Hyde. Hyde has the pitch man, or has the dive. They don't ride the mesh. He takes the quarterback, and Herbert pitches it out, and Klein's all over it. And he's done this a couple times. He did it early in the game against the Cardinals too, where he had the pitch man and really shut it down. So good job by him. Eckler does spin back inside, but now rally to the ball, right? Everyone's rallying to the ball. A.J. Klein, while you'll see Eckler spin back inside, but he spun back inside. That's containing the play, and everyone gets in on the tackle. Poyer and Hyde finish the play. A few more plays here. 1st and 10 situation. And let's see here. He is rushing the passer. And one thing that I love about when he does rush a passer, you see him rushing right here. Here's the other rushers, and then you're dropping out. So we have what? We have a creeper pressure, right? Still four men rushing the passer here. And Bills dropping out in their cover 3 defense. But what I love about Klein when he rushes and he is one-on-one with the running back, he's so good at attacking that running back. You know, he knows that the running back wants to cut him, especially when you have a linebacker coming from depth like he is here. You see him coming from depth. He's going to be at full speed, right? So he's coming downhill, and that running back just wants to cut him. Of course, he just wants to cut him. He wants to use his momentum against him. Well, he tries going high on him, and Klein processes how that guy wants to defend him and just sidesteps him. He does it so often. He just sidesteps these running backs in protection, sidesteps him, throws him by, and Jerry Hughes is coming off the perimeter there, swats those hands by, gets that edge, bends and flattens, hits the arm of Herbert, and then Herbert, pulls the ball down, and Klein's there to finish. So that's one thing I like about Klein as a rusher. He's good at attacking running backs and avoiding those cut blocks that we normally see from those running backs. And if the running back wants to go high, he knows how to beat those hands. So this is another play where it looks like Herbert checks into it. So the Chargers have 2 tight ends to the bottom of the screen. Poyer's up on the line of scrimmage. So they're ready to defend the run on this play. They have Poyer up near the line of scrimmage. You see it White down there. And again, the Bills are stacked to the strength of the formation. Herbert, for some reason, checks into this, and the Bills do another good job of containing this play. See, Poyer right here plays with heavy hands. He's got outside contain right here, box that play in. He does that, and then here come Edmonds and Klein to finish the play, and Poyer as well. See it from the end zone angle. So here's Herbert checking in the play. I don't know why they ran this outside zone into that heavy look on the snap. Watch what the defensive end right here, I can't really tell. I think that's Addison. On the snap, he does a gap exchange. So he and the defensive tackle are slanting into the inside gaps so that you have the exchange for the linebackers. So this is why, you having these athletic linebackers to work over the top of these gap exchanges is nice. Those guys can scrape down a line of scrimmage, and you see both Klein and Edmonds get down the line of scrimmage and make a play here, leverage the ball, and Poyer and Klein are actually the ones that finish here, but you're forcing that running back wide. You have the contained player in Poyer. Klein gets downhill. He's not passive, and he just ends the play there. So good job by the Bills run defense. So third and one here. This is that. I don't know why. I mean, when we were watching this live, and I'm screaming in my living room, option. They're in the pistol. If you guys remember when we played the Chiefs, they're a team that runs this as well in third and short situations. Even last game, the Chiefs, I saw them run it again. Third and fourth and short, these teams like to run these speed option plays. So they're running the speed option to the bottom of the screen, and you see Klein just pursue to the ball. I mean, and this is that play where we saw McDermott damn near trip over right here. You see him almost trip over the marker there because of the great job by A.J. Klein to force fourth down here. So they're optioning the end man on the line of scrimmage, Mario Addison. This is who Herbert is optioning. He's supposed to get down the line of scrimmage, read that guy. If he plays it flat, he's pitching it out to Eckler here. That's what he reads. He pitches it to Eckler. And now you see Klein. He gets caught in traffic right here, but he feels this block from this tackle right here, and he works over the top of it. Ricochets off that block, gets off of it, and then he's on his horse to run down Josh Kelly. I mean, just a great play by him in a crucial situation. Obviously, third and short inside the red zone. Good play by him. versus the speed option, something that we've seen already a couple times this year. So obviously first down here. And this is just, it looks like a draw by the Chargers here, and we'll look at it from the end zone. Just watch him tracking the ball. So watch where his eyes are. You know, he's looking at his keys, maybe not seeing it too well. He's looking at the near guard. And then watch as he reads run. He's like, okay, now I feel this tight end coming to block me. He beats him to that angle. This tight end's trying to work inside, right? And kind of wall him off, get in front of him, cover him up on this draw play. Look at him attack that angle. He beats that tight end there, and then he leads with his hands, but he's still able to track the ball. He disengages and then makes the tackle here. That's just a great job of being aggressive in your run fake. Get downhill, beat that tight end to the block, find the ball, disengage, and make the tackle on the running back. So third down here, and what do you guys think? Here's Edmonds. Here, obviously, all the other defensive linemen right here. You think they're going to be blitzing here? Third down? It's kind of been their MO, right? They motion Keenan Allen, A.J. Klein blitzes, and sacks Justin Herbert. So showing as man coverage, 3-by-1, it is man coverage, and the Bills bring that pressure. They bring that sixth guy, and A.J. Klein causes a sack. So defensive tackle, I think that may be Harrison Phillips. He's head up, so he's covered. Center's covered there. Well, who's got the linebacker? Who's got that A-gap? Same protection, right, guys? Where's the passing strength? Remember, 3 receivers are out here, right? 1 out to the left. Running back is into the boundary to the weak side of the formation. Here's your 3. Here's your 2 for these 2. Who's got the third guy to the right side here? Running back does 2 or 3 jet protection. A.J. Klein avoids that cut block. And again, just attacks the quarterback. Defeats that block by the rookie running back, who I really like. And ends this play. Just a good job by him. And it's a great way to end the breakdown because we saw him as a rusher again. So any questions on any of these plays, guys? That was actually quite fun, man. I like watching linebackers. It's probably my favorite position to study and watch film on, just because they're busy guys. You know, they have to look at run fits. They have run responsibilities. They have pass responsibilities. It's a tough position to play, and to have a guy like A.J. Klein come in, struggle initially, people are calling for his job, that type of mental toughness to come back and make plays like he has the last few weeks, that's a testament to his mental toughness. And that's one of the factors, obviously, that this regime really liked about that guy. And he's filling in for a guy that does a lot for this defense. And he's added a nice element, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with him once Milano is back. And you know me, if Milano's healthy, I want him playing, basically every snap. But if you have a guy like A.J. Klein, playing that position and playing at a high level, right, like he is, I think the Bills can, give Milano spot duty. But they're going to need Milano for the long run, obviously, because he does allow them to do some things that when you play the pass happy offenses that we're going to see, in the playoffs, you want to be able to have the ability or option as a defensive coordinator to have a guy like Milano in the lineup. But what a great piece to have an A.J. Klein as a depth player, and obviously a guy that they could throw in there, a spot duty in different personnel groupings. I mean, obviously he's got an affinity for rushing the passer, so that's something they could use as a minor role going forward. So any questions, guys, before I take off here?
Did the linebacker blitz numbers change that much when he started playing better? Or because I just have these visions of Tremaine Edmonds being used on the blitz a lot more earlier on, and it seems like did the frequency actually change, or did they just swap roles? Because I just see, like, especially you talked about, you see how well he does shedding those blocks, particularly like the running backs. And I just have like these images of Edmonds, especially when he was injured earlier on, just getting stuffed. And I don't see him blitzing, I mean, basically at all anymore in any of these breakdowns, is he?
Great. No, that's a great question. Let's go look at the numbers, because my initial thought is, and it's why when guys were saying we need to put Edmonds on the edge and have him rush the passer, well, if you actually watched Edmonds, you'd realize that he's not a pass rusher. And even when they do send him, he's usually leading with his hands and trying to bull rush the guy. He doesn't have any type of moves. You don't see him sidestepping a lot of those blocks by running backs. So can you guys see that? All right, so here you can see it.
Yeah.
So you can see the last few games they've actually rushed him a lot as well, 16 times last game. So they brought a lot of pressure from the linebacker level. But let's look at, we kind of want to look at maybe overall Tremaine Edmonds' number. I do think there has been a swap per se, because you want Edmonds, the more athletic guy, outmatched up versus running backs more than not, over A.J. Klein, of course. So let's look at linebacker. Let's take a look at how often Tremaine Edmonds has rushed the passer this year. Excuse me. So he's rushed 13.6% of the time and racked up, 3 total pressures here? Yes. So let's look at 2019. So his numbers are up as well, from 10.8 to 13 and change. And his productivity actually looks like it's down, right? 7.9 from all positions, versus, what was his rate up here? Oh, it's actually down this year, his productivity. So yeah, his numbers across the board, even obviously tackling and stops, Edmonds' numbers are all down this year. And again, I think you guys saw me break down Matt Milano, how important he is to the defense. Well, he's super important to Tremaine Edmonds, because Milano's the disruptor, and a lot of times Edmonds was the benefactor of those disruptions, and he was the one wrapping guys up, and plays were just funneling right back to him a lot of the time. So yeah, I think we're not seeing Edmonds rush a passer as well. We're not seeing Edmonds do a lot of things as well as he has been, especially when Milano was in the lineup. But I also think that it's because they want to keep Edmonds out in coverage versus Klein, or versus those defensive ends that are dropping into coverage more. Does that answer your question at all, dude?
Yeah, definitely. That answers it. I was, it just seems, in addition to that, it seems like just watching him play. I mean, I know that taking the right angles and processing things quicker are going to allow him to get to the spot quicker, but he just looks faster in general. And I don't know if maybe he was just a little hobbled to start the season, or if he didn't come in as quite a good a shape because of, the whole COVID thing and everything else being a little bit, later in his career. But he just looks a step faster, period.
Are you talking Klein?
Yeah, Klein.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. I took it off the screen, but Klein last year he rushed the passer 18.8% of the time and had a productivity rating of 9.5. So that was, let me see, I'll bring it back up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So 18, almost 19% down here. Where is he at? New Orleans. I mean, almost 19%. That's pretty high for a linebacker coming from New Orleans in that 4-3 system. That's actually quite high. As I said earlier, I mean, that's higher than what Milano did last year. So when Leslie Frazier talks about how not only A.J. Klein adjusting, obviously they adjusted pretty well and sending him 24% of the time. Like that's crazy. And so, they've done a good job handling him with Milano out, and all of us were worried, right? I mean, we were worried with how teams were going to attack Klein, and it looked early on like our worries were valid, but they did a good job of covering up, minimizing his weaknesses and then accentuating what he does pretty decently, and that's rush the passer. So that'll be it, fellas. It's 9:15. I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys, tuning in for this breakdown again. It's a long week, so game's not till Monday. I honestly haven't even gone through the defensive tape aside from Klein's plays of the Chargers game. So I may commit some more time to that, and maybe even some more of the offense. The run game was exciting for me. The concepts that the Bills ran against Chargers are things that I obviously wanted to see, and it really helped the offense establish physicality at the point of attack, but also allowed them to get some explosive plays by getting those guys, Mitch Morse, Deion Dawkins, and those guys, Feliciano, out on the perimeter, which is something that they have to do now that they're running sort of that spread offense. So I'll try to do a couple more breakdowns later in the week, and who knows, if I can get enough film uploaded, maybe we'll do another one of these again. So anything else before I take off, fellas? All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks a bunch, Eric.
All right, see ya.